Imagine waking up knowing the fate of an entire empire rests on every choice you make, and yet your mind remains calm, steady, and unshakable. This was Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, a man surrounded by war, betrayal, and chaos. But each morning before the world demanded his strength, he built an inner fortress. While generals waited for orders and Rome demanded decisions, Marcus began his day not with power, but with discipline, not with noise, but with clarity. He crafted a morning routine so intentional, so deeply rooted in wisdom, that it allowed him to lead millions with patience, courage, and unwavering purpose, even when the world around him was falling apart. This was never a productivity trick. It was a spiritual blueprint, a quiet ritual that sharpened his mind, strengthened his character, and anchored his soul against fear, anger, and doubt. Hidden inside his private journal, meditations never meant for anyone to read are the exact principles he used at dawn to build an empire from the inside out. And now you're about to step into the Emperor's Morning, a daily blueprint for success, leadership, and unshakable Stoic power. Part 1, Awakening with Purpose. Imagine opening your eyes and the very first thought you allow into your mind is this: today I will meet interference, ingratitude, arrogance, and disloyalty, not as a complaint, but as a preparation. Marcus Aurelius began every morning with this mental rehearsal, reminding himself that the world would challenge him, but his response would define him. Before the generals awaited orders, before the empire demanded decisions, Marcus turned inward. In the quiet moment between sleep and responsibility, he trained his mind like a warrior sharpening a blade. He understood a simple truth: if you don't choose your first thought, the world will choose it for you. He wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." These words were not philosophy, they were a shield, a way to stay unshaken in the middle of storms that would break lesser men. Imagine him in a military tent on the frontier, a dim lamp flickering beside him. Outside, the cold wind carried whispers of rebellion. Inside, the emperor wrote, "Do not expect the world to be gentle. Expect only that you will remain steadfast." Even surrounded by uncertainty, he anchored himself with intention. Modern science now confirms what Marcus practiced 1,800 years ago. The first 10 minutes of your morning shape your emotional state for hours. Mental rehearsal reduces stress, strengthens emotional control, and prepares the mind for adversity. Marcus discovered this long before neuroscience had a name for it. So before you check your phone, before you scroll through other people's priorities, try this. Say quietly to yourself, "Today I expect challenges, I expect inconvenience, but I choose clarity, I choose calm." This simple shift moves you from reactivity to mastery. You are no longer surprised by difficulties, you are prepared for them. Take a breath with me. Inhale, exhale. This is your reset, your reminder that purpose begins with awareness. Marcus believed that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And what he meant was this: your morning thoughts stain the rest of your day. If you begin with dread, your day will carry that color. But if you begin with clarity and intention, you step into the world as the master of your mind. Here is your exercise for tomorrow morning. Sit up, place your feet on the ground, and whisper, "I expect challenges." Then say, "But I will respond with strength." Visualize one challenge you are likely to face today and see yourself handling it with dignity and patience. That is how leaders are made, not in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments before the world awakens. This is the first step in the emperor's morning routine. Awakening with purpose. But Marcus's journey didn't end here. After preparing his mind, he moved into something even more powerful, a ritual of silence and stillness that shaped his leadership. And in the next part, you will step directly into that moment. Part 2, Centering the Mind. Before the emperor faced army senators or the noise of an empire, he stepped into silence. Marcus Aurelius understood that leadership doesn't begin with action, it begins with stillness. So each morning before the world could shape him, he shaped himself. Imagine him now standing at the edge of dawn, the air cold, the camp still quiet. The soldiers are waking, advisors are preparing reports. But Marcus seeks something deeper. He sits alone, spine straight, breath steady, not as a ruler, but as a student of his own mind. Some say he meditated. Others believe he practiced slow, intentional breathing. The method didn't matter. The purpose did. He knew that the mind, like water, must be calm before it can reflect anything clearly. And so he breathed not to escape the world, but to prepare himself to face it. Marcus wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This was his sanctuary, a place no enemy could invade, no crisis could interrupt. So take a moment with him. Inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6, again. And as you breathe, imagine releasing everything outside your control, because Marcus did exactly that. With each breath, he let go of the weight he could not carry. Modern neuroscience proves what Marcus practiced instinctively. Slow breathing reduces anxiety by up to 40%. It lowers cortisol, stabilizes heart rate, and strengthens emotional control. He didn't need research to tell him this. He felt it. He lived it. His mornings were not about escaping responsibility, they were about preparing for it. Stoicism does not teach avoidance. It teaches alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your actions, and the person you aspire to be. And this raises a question for you. When was the last time you allowed yourself a moment of true stillness before the world demanded your attention? Try this tomorrow before touching your phone, before stepping into your responsibilities. Sit for just 3 minutes. Breathe slowly. Repeat quietly. If it's outside my control, I release it. Notice how your body softens, how your thoughts settle, how clarity begins to rise. This is not weakness. This is strength. Because a calm leader is harder to provoke, harder to distract, and harder to break. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire not because he sought control over people, but because he mastered control over himself. His stillness was not passive, it was power. It was the foundation upon which every decision, every battle, every moment of leadership was built. Marcus believed that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And stillness is where thoughts sharpen, where purpose clarifies, where strength takes form. Now that you understand how the emperor centered his mind, you're ready for the next part of his morning ritual, one that shaped his values, his choices, and the very principles that guided an empire. In part 3, we explore how Marcus Aurelius repainted his mind each morning with the timeless wisdom of Stoic principles. Part 3, Reviewing Principles. Marcus Aurelius understood something most people never realize: your mind is not a blank page. Each morning it is a canvas waiting to be repainted, and every dawn he chose the colors carefully. While others woke up and stumbled into their day reacting to chaos, Marcus began by reviewing the principles that shaped his character. He believed that virtue, wisdom, and discipline had to be reinforced daily, or they would fade beneath the pressure of leadership. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This line wasn't poetry, it was instruction, a reminder that who you are is a result of what you repeatedly think. So he reread Stoic teachings every morning, small passages, simple truths, powerful anchors. Imagine him in his tent, the empire still quiet, light filtering through the fabric as he studies core principles: virtue over pleasure, reason over emotion, service over ego. These were not abstract ideals. They were the compass he used to navigate the storms ahead. Modern psychology confirms what Marcus intuitively understood. Cognitive priming, the act of deliberately feeding your mind specific ideas, shapes your decisions for the next 8 to 12 hours. In fact, research shows that reviewing core values in the morning strengthens willpower by up to 25% throughout the day. Marcus didn't have the study, but he had the wisdom. He knew that the world would try to pull him in every direction: flattery, anger, pride, fear. But he chose to begin with reminders of who he wanted to be. Let's take a breath together. Inhale, exhale. This is your moment to reset. Now ask yourself, what principle will guide me today? Patience, courage, discipline, compassion. To apply the emperor's routine. Try this practice tomorrow morning. Read 1 or 2 Stoic quotes. Nothing long, just a line that speaks truth. Then write one principle you intend to live by today. Keep it simple: do the right thing, or control my reactions, or serve without ego. Marcus believed that knowledge becomes action only through repetition. That is why he read, reviewed, and rewrote the same lines again and again. Not because he forgot them, but because he wanted to live them. One of his most powerful reminders was, "If someone can show me that I am mistaken, I will gladly change. For I seek the truth, not to be right." This is radical humility, the kind of humility that keeps leaders grounded, focused, and adaptable. Imagine what your life would look like if every morning you repainted your mind with clarity, purpose, and virtue. How different would your decisions be? Your conversations, your reactions. Marcus Aurelius wasn't perfect. He was human, frustrated, tired, overwhelmed. But he started each morning by aligning himself with principles stronger than emotion. That is what made his leadership timeless. Now that you've stepped into the emperor's mental preparation, it's time to move deeper into the most intimate part of his morning, the way he held himself accountable, corrected his weaknesses, and sharpened his character through ruthless honesty. In Part 4, we enter the powerful and private world of Marcus's morning journaling. Part 4, Journaling the Emperor's Way. Before the first light touched the Roman horizon, Marcus Aurelius opened his private journal. His sanctuary of truth, the pages we now know as meditations. These words were never meant for the world. They were meant to sharpen his character, to hold himself accountable, to ensure that the emperor was always led by the man within. He wrote not to impress, but to correct. Stop complaining. You know what the right thing is, do it. Don't be overheard talking like this again. This was radical honesty, brutal, humble, necessary. Marcus understood that leadership begins in the one place no one else can see your inner life. Take a breath with me. Inhale, exhale. Now step deeper into this ritual. His journaling wasn't about recounting events. It was about refining judgment, confronting weakness, and preparing the soul. Every morning he asked himself, where did I fall short? What did I avoid? Who was I yesterday, and who must I be today? Modern psychology echoes his practice. Reflective journaling increases self-awareness, reduces emotional reactivity, and strengthens decision-making. Neuroscience shows that writing down our flaws reduces their power. Marcus discovered these truths simply by watching his own mind. Here is how you can follow his blueprint. Ask yourself 3 questions each morning. 1. What weakness held me back yesterday? 2. What small improvement can I make today? 3. Where can I show more courage? These questions turn reflection into discipline and discipline into growth. Marcus wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. His journal wasn't philosophy, it was training. Imagine how different your life would be if each morning you corrected your path before the day even began. And now that you've entered the emperor's private world of self-mastery, the next step awaits: how Marcus transformed obstacles into fuel and turned adversity into strength. Part 5, Preparing for Duty. With his mind steady and his character aligned, Marcus Aurelius stepped into the next stage of his morning, preparing for duty. Not the light duty of an ordinary day, but the immense responsibility of ruling an empire on the brink of crisis. And yet, instead of fearing the weight he carried, Marcus reframed it. He turned burden into purpose and obstacles into strength. He wrote one of the most powerful lines in Stoic history: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This wasn't poetry. This was a strategy, a philosophy sharpened through war, disease, betrayal, and political chaos. Imagine Marcus standing at the entrance of his tent, the cold wind brushing against his armor. Advisors approach with bad news: supply shortages, disrupted trade routes, unrest in distant provinces. But Marcus doesn't recoil. He expects hardship. He accepts responsibility. And most importantly, he prepares his mind to move toward problems, not away from them. Take a breath with me. Inhale, exhale. Now let's step into his mindset. Marcus believed that obstacles reveal your true character. If you avoid them, they grow. If you face them, you grow. Modern leadership studies echo this. People who tackle their most difficult task in the morning increase productivity by up to 32% and reduce stress throughout the day. So here is the emperor's morning exercise, simple but transformative. Step 1, identify the one obstacle you're avoiding. Not 10 tasks, not your entire to-do list, just one thing. Step 2, turn it into today's target. Make it the first meaningful action you take. Step 3, move toward it with calm intention. As Marcus would say, if it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. When you face the obstacle early, the rest of the day becomes lighter. You don't chase clarity, you create it. Marcus Aurelius did not rise to greatness because life was easy. He rose because he understood this truth: the challenge in front of you is the training for the person you must become. And now, after embracing responsibility and transforming obstacles into fuel, the emperor ended his morning with the most humbling practice of all, one that sharpened gratitude, deepened purpose, and reminded him of the fragile beauty of life. In part 6, we enter the timeless wisdom of memento mori and discover how Marcus used the awareness of mortality to live with power, humility, and meaning. Part 6, Gratitude and Memento. Mori, as the final step of his morning ritual, Marcus Aurelius returned to the truth that shaped every decision he made: the awareness of mortality. Not to create fear, but to ignite gratitude, clarity, and urgency. At dawn, he reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Imagine the emperor standing beside the dim morning light, feeling the cold air touch his skin. Armies awaited orders. Senators awaited decisions. The world demanded his strength. And yet, before stepping into the day, he paused. He breathed. He remembered how fragile life truly was. Take a breath with me. Inhale. Exhale. This is your reset. Marcus did not fear mortality, he used it. Awareness of death sharpened his appreciation for the present moment. It made every sunrise a gift, every conversation an opportunity, every choice a reflection of virtue. Gratitude wasn't decoration, it was discipline, a way of recognizing that each morning is a privilege, not a guarantee. Modern research shows that gratitude practices increase happiness by up to 25%, reduce anxiety, and boost resilience. Marcus discovered this long before studies existed. When he whispered, I am grateful for this day, he transformed awareness into power. Here's your practice tomorrow morning. Look at the light of day and say, I am grateful for this moment, and I will not waste it. Let that thought shape how you speak, how you act, and how you lead yourself. This concludes the Emperor's morning routine, a blueprint of purpose, stillness, principle, honesty, responsibility, and gratitude. A routine powerful enough to guide an empire and simple enough to transform your life. But remember, wisdom means nothing without action. Carry these lessons into your day and lead yourself with the strength of a Stoic. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule with force. He ruled with discipline, clarity, and calm. And every ounce of that strength came from a simple routine repeated every morning. If you adopt even just one of these practices, your life will begin to shift toward purpose, power, and peace. And if you want more Stoic wisdom, more leadership lessons, and more timeless guidance from Marcus Aurelius, subscribe to Making Life Better and share this video with someone who needs clarity today. Now I have one final request, one that will anchor today's lesson in your mind. Comment the word discipline, because discipline is the beginning of transformation. Discipline is the emperor's foundation, and discipline is the first step toward becoming who you were meant to be. And remember, what you do next shapes who you become.